It was the worst date. He was 40 minutes late and he started taking shots, just like straight tequila shots. And after a while, he's like, well, if you don't take shots, I'm gonna buy the girl beside me. So then he kept going to the washroom every 10 minutes, like doing drugs.
So we were talking off camera about early 2000s haircuts and then the soul patch, right? And I was talking to this girl recently that thought the soul patch was really sexy. What do you think of the soul patch?
I'm not obsessed with it.
No, you're not like, I'm only gonna date a guy that has a soul patch or a mullet.
I kind of think mullets look cool.
Okay, little business in the front, party in the back. Are you more drawn to a certain type of guy?
Not really. I look at personality.
You really got to get to know them by talking to them.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Are you on the apps right now?
So I'm on Bumble right now.
What kind of guy is gonna catch your eye?
Someone well dressed, someone with nice hair. I usually read their bio and then decide.
So have there been times before the person looks good and then the bio just doesn't do it for you?
Many times. I have seen people lie about their age, people that are in relationships and looking for a third, people that hate cats.
Those dog lovers, you're like really questioning.
I love dogs.
You're one of the very rare few that likes both. Everyone thinks that it's like, okay, you got to be team cat, iPhone, Samsung.
Exactly.
Do you prefer to meet people in person?
Definitely.
Oh, you didn't even think about that. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're not someone for apps.
Yeah. I don't really use them. I have them there, but it's mostly just for fun.
How do you prefer to meet guys?
I like becoming friends with somebody and then dating that way.
There's a lot of guys out there that will question that. Do you believe that men and women can just be friends?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But there just has to be like absolutely no attraction. I think if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't just have a bunch of like best friends of the opposite sex. I'm friends with everyone. I just wouldn't be chilling with a whole bunch of dudes if I was in a relationship.
I'm sure you probably noticed this where it's like some guys will try to pretend to be your friend, but then you can kind of tell that they're pushing for something more.
It's happened a couple times. Usually when I'm straightforward, they're usually pretty cool.
So if you're friends with somebody and then you are interested in them, do you make it known? How does that usually progress from friendship to then dating?
I usually don't personally. I kind of let the guy make the move. It always happens naturally anyway.
Are you the type to make the first move? Because there's a lot of guys out there that are wondering, should I make a move? What if I get rejected? All this stuff. So like, what would your advice be to some of the guys out there?
If you're into someone, just go for it. The worst that can happen is they say no and then you just take it like a champ and move on and on to the next.
Plenty out there.
Exactly.
I really want to get into this because off camera you were telling me about we'll say interesting date. I cut her off before she could even tell me the whole story.
It was the worst date I've ever been on in my life. It was like a hell date. So there was this guy and I really liked him and I didn't think he liked me at all. So we worked together a couple times and then after like the fifth time of us working together, he asked me out and I was like stoked because I really liked him. I thought he was really smart. I still think he's really smart. We're still friends. So he was like, yeah, meet me at the restaurant at 6 o'clock. He was 40 minutes late.
Whoa.
To begin. But I was cool. I was whatever. I was sipping a glass of wine. So
Wait, just-
it was fine.
What was his excuse? Did he say sorry? Did he say he was stuck in traffic? Or was it
Yeah, he was stuck in traffic. And he said sorry.
how traffic can be? I know.
So that was whatever. It was fine. We had a nice dinner. He was really funny and really smart and we got along. And then we went to the bar and he started taking shots, just like straight tequila shots, which is fine. I don't judge. So after that, I had to go to a gig, a paid to party gig. You're allowed to bring friends. And I was like, oh, do you want to just like come with me? Because I was having fun with him. He tries to get me to take shots. I don't take shots. And I was like, no. And after a while, he's like, well, if you don't take shots, I'm going to buy the girl beside me shots.
No.
So-
And this is on the date?
Yeah.
Oh my, and he's just slamming them back left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Holy, okay. This took a turn.
And the girl beside me was super hot, huge boobs, and then he starts buying her shots. I was just over it at that point. I was just like, I can't. So then he kept going to the washroom every 10 minutes, like doing drugs.
Oh, you mean there wasn't just a leaky faucet that he was trying to fix?
He comes back and he just keeps getting like progressively more drunk. And with the paid to party gig, they give us drinks. So we had this huge thing of alcohol that the 3 girls that I was working with and me, like we were splitting it. He starts drinking from that. The girl that was like in charge of us, she's like, he can't be drinking from that. That's for you guys. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like don't worry, he won't. And then he starts getting like more drunk and then he starts telling me he loves me. And then he starts telling everyone around us that he's my boyfriend. And I was just like, he was so drunk at this point and like on drugs that I was like, it was just so embarrassing. I ordered steak, which is the same that this other hot girl ordered. And I told the guy, I'm like, just eat like whatever you want, eat my food. But he was like eating food off of her plate. with his fingers,
Oh.
grabbing it and just like eating her steak. And then she looks at me and she's like, ew, he's eating off my plate. And it was like so embarrassing. He got kicked out twice.
Twice.
But he kept getting back in because he would tell the doorman that he's my boyfriend and he has to be here with me.
Oh my God.
And then the third time he got kicked out, his brother came and picked him up.
Wow, lucky number 3. So he's hearing wedding bells in his future, and this is someone who you actually had a thing for before. So then the big question is, like, what happened after all that?
He texted me the next morning. He didn't remember what happened, I guess, or he was just like, yeah, oh, I wasn't that drunk. And I was just like, yeah, you were. You told me you loved me like 30 times. And you told
30?
everyone I was your boyfriend and you were doing drugs.
After that, was there a second date, or was that it?
No, I told him, like, I will not go out with you unless you're sober. If he was sober for like a year, I would be like, yeah, sure, let's go out again. Like,
For a year. He's got to show you his, like, year coin chip.
Pretty
I'm going to
much.
rehab. Like, hey, I'm a year sober.
Pretty
Let's
much.
do it. You've set the bar high there. But is there any other, like, kind of nightmarish or bad dates that you've been on that really stick out?
No, that was like my only nightmare date. The other dates with people that weren't like my favorite are the guys that trash their ex-girlfriends. And yeah, guys that get too drunk.
So you're telling me that when you're out with a guy that you find sexually attractive, you don't find it sexy when a guy essentially treats it like you're his therapist
Pretty
and
much.
unloads all his baggage onto you. You're telling me that's not attractive?
Yeah, no.
So this is a pattern. This has happened a couple times.
Yeah, a lot.
Really? Okay.
A lot of guys trash their ex-girlfriends.
Oh my God. So like, what does that sound like? Just like, yeah, you have no idea. Like, my toxic ex-girlfriend. How does that even come up in conversation?
I've had guys like, because I usually ask people a lot of questions. So I'll ask about like, oh, when was your last relationship? Oh, how many people have you dated? Or like,
You're asking all that on the first date, eh? You really like to dig.
I drill them.
Okay. They're like sweating. The sweat drips down their face.
I've had guys like say that their ex was like bad in bed, which is like
Oh.
so horrible. I would never want anyone to say that about me. Like,
Oh my God.
that'd
She
be
just
mortifying.
lied there like a starfish.
oh my god, that'd be that's horrible. I've had people like diss their ex's appearance, say they're not good looking or like they're not attractive, and I'm like, you obviously thought she was. Like,
Yeah, then
you're
why
with
were they
her.
dating?
Exactly. A lot of people were like, she was crazy, and I'm like, maybe, but I don't know. You seem pretty nuts right now.
My 5 ex-girlfriends were all crazy.
All of them.
But I was okay. There was nothing wrong with me.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've had that guy that sees you as the therapist, the ex-girlfriend guy.
Yeah.
What else?
All the other dates have been fine. It's normally just that, like, people get too drunk sometimes, which is always, like, kind of like an ick. I'm just like, ugh.
So if a guy asks you on a coffee date at like 9 in the morning and he's pouring tequila in his coffee and stirring it around, is that a bit of a red flag?
He's drinking
right.
tequila, like,
Yeah.
first.
Like-
I feel like, yeah, no.
What if he offered you some? Would that be okay?
Yeah, no.
What's your ideal first date?
I hate coffee dates. Me personally, I just don't like them. I'd rather just go to a coffee shop with like one of my friends and going for a walk. Anything but those two things, I'm down for. Like, I'll go to a movie, whatever.
If he's taking you through like an alleyway, right, or a sketchy area of town on the walk, I could see that.
Yeah.
But if he's taking you through like a really romantic area where it's like beautiful skyline view of the city, what are your thoughts on that?
I just still think it's not a date.
So movie dates on the first date.
Yeah, it's kind of lame because you can't really like chat, but you're still chilling.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, I like a good movie, but if I were going to take a girl out, I'd want to at least get to know her and talk with her a bit.
Definitely.
Right? Unless it was a movie I'd seen like 50 times and I didn't really care about the movie and maybe she had seen it too. Maybe hold hands in the popcorn, you know? A movie date would be something for like the third or the fourth date.
Yeah, true.
Drinks is good.
Yeah.
And then you're having your drink, you're like grilling them, you're like digging out the shovel. Is there any other icks?
I guess guys that are polyamorous.
Oh yeah,
Like
you said that.
Yeah, poly dudes. Just
Well,
not for me.
The polygons, yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of like people that just like sleep the day away.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your text, just woke up. It's 1 o'clock. What the hell?
Unless they're working like a really late job and they have to sleep during the day to like catch up on sleep. But guys that just like have a whole bunch of free time.
So you want like an
That's really
ambitious go-getter, not someone that's just lying around in his parents' basement smoking weed and shooting off to Bang Bros.
Yeah, pretty much.
You said you're not huge into looks, but like what kind of traits does like your ideal guy have?
I like intelligent dudes, dudes that are kind, loyal dudes, work hard, have empathy, and care about people.
You don't like sociopaths or psychopaths?
Yeah,
you're not...
no.
Okay.
Animal lovers, love them.
Especially cats.
Yeah, especially cats. They have to.
This is just like completely improv right now. I'm just kind of, I didn't have like a list of questions or anything.
Yeah, you're a great interviewer.
Where is your ideal spot to meet a guy? Is it at the gym? Is it at a coffee shop?
I usually meet people through the different gigs that I work. Because like, you know, like I work like every day. I've met people at the gym, but not a lot of people.
You're at the gym, you're working out. What's the ideal way for a guy to come up and talk to you?
It's usually like kind of organic though. You get to know people, like you're like, oh hey, and like you see the same people.
Guys might think organic means one thing, they might
Oh true.
think it means another. Let's describe it for the guys out there just for a little more detail in context.
Normally like someone will just ask me a question, you become friends, and then they'll ask you out.
A question about your workout, or like
Yeah.
let's say you guys haven't talked. Okay, question about your workout.
Or like about a class, or like, oh, do you know like what time the hot yoga is happening with blah blah blah? And I'll be like, yeah, it's right there.
Okay. So you prefer like more indirect.
Yeah, I wouldn't really like if I was like in the zone and then someone came up to me and they were like, hey, can I have your number? I'd be like, no. Like, you know?
Okay. You want it to feel natural. You want it to feel organic.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
They open you with like an indirect style. But then sometimes the guys can take that too far where it's like, oh shit, like what do I say now? Maybe I was curious about the class, but like, where do I take this?
Maybe just say something like, oh, I like your hair, or like something like that. Or you could just wait until you see the person again. Because if
okay.
they're at your gym, like you're obviously going to run into them again.
Yeah, see those same faces. So outside of the gym, like, do you ever just get approached on the street?
Somebody approached me at work 2 days ago. I was serving at a concert. The music was so loud, and this other server came up to me and he asked me a couple questions. So I was being nice and I was like, yeah, like blah, 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 answering his questions. And then he asked me, so he's like, so are you Spanish? And I'm just like, no. And then he left and then he came back. He's like, hey, sorry, just one more question. And I'm like, yeah, what? And he's like, can I have your number? And I was so tired at that point and I was like exhausted and it was so loud and it was the end of the night and I just looked at him and I'm like, no. And he's just like, no, okay, bye. But I didn't like, I feel like at least he was direct.
Yeah. At least you were direct too.
Yeah,
That was a
always.
pretty direct way to answer it.
Yeah, I was just
Because a
like,
lot of
no.
girls would be like, oh, I have a boyfriend, or just gave him the wrong number.
Yeah.
So you're always very direct.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're not into a guy, you'll tell him that.
Yeah, immediately.